Welcome back, everyone. We're going to start video 2 of our line lesson. I want to go over the materials before we get started. If you don't have these following materials, I want you to press the pause button and then get your materials, come back and press play. So you are going to need the following. You're going to need your black Sharpie. You're going to need a pencil, an eraser. You're going to need your small piece of construction paper that was handed out in the September handout packet. It's the small piece. You got a large piece also. You're wanting to get the small piece of construction paper. Since we're going to be working with Sharpie, you're going to want to also just find a piece of random scratch paper at home. It could be a piece of binder paper. It could be a piece of copy paper or just something laying around the kitchen. Something to put under your construction paper that you're going to be working on so that the Sharpie doesn't bleed onto any surface, the table or the counter that you're writing on doing the lesson. Okay, so I'm going to give these over to Sam. You're going to also need your warm-up paper from the first video. So I'm going to give these over to Sam. And here is Sam with us today. Hello. He's ready to start the lesson. I'm going to be doing the lesson on this big piece of construction paper back here. I have a big easel holding it up. This is just so that you guys can see the image in a larger form. So I'm going to go over just a few of the examples from last time, and then I'm going to give you some new images to look at. Okay. So here we go. We are going to be concentrating on lines. So as an artist, when we're creating a composition, we could use only line to do so. And you can use a variety of lines and patterns to create different visual textures. In our composition today, we are going to be creating an owl. And around that owl, we are going to be doing segments. And then in each segment, we're going to be doing different line patterns. So those are some examples of lines. This was the owl we created last time. We're going to focus on creating a very simple animated looking owl. So I'm going to give you some examples of animated owls. They don't look entirely real. Sammy said that this one is the emoji owl. Is that right, Sam? Here's another example. This one is off to the side. So you'll see it's almost like a profile of the owl because this wing right here is larger and this wing is smaller, and then you see the tail coming off to the side. Also, you'll notice that there are differences in eyes that you see. This one has wide eyes, this one has sleepy, droopy eyes. And this last one I'm going to show you, this last paper has two owls on it and their wings are outstretched. One looks like it's in flight and one looks like it's perched and ready to take flight. Okay, so those are some different animated looking owls. And the last thing I'm going to go over with you before we start are the 4 things I want you to keep in mind when we are doing art. Okay, so we're always going to try our best. Sometimes we'll get frustrated, so if that happens, just take a deep breath, count to 10. Take another deep breath and then try it again. Remember, if you need a little bit more time, you can pause the video. You can take a break for a little bit. You can even come back tomorrow. The third thing I want you to keep in mind is that everyone's art is going to turn out differently. Yours is going to be different than mine. Mine's going to be different than Sam's. If you're doing it with a sibling right now, yours is going to be different than your siblings. And the last thing that I want to remind you is that art is not perfect. So we're not looking for perfection, we're looking to have fun. Okay. All right, so here is an example of what we're going to be doing today. This one is Joey's from when he was in 4th grade. Here he did a bear. Today we're going to do an owl, but it's going to be the same concept. We're going to create a large owl smack in the middle of our paper. Then we're going to add some simple lines to create different segments. So here he drew a line here and then he drew a line outside here. He has segmented area right here with lines, right here and right here. Up in the sky, he has one big segment of the sky. Then he has his sun with a different line pattern, and then his cloud right here with a different line pattern. All right, so we're gonna get started. I want you to grab your pencil. I'm gonna grab my black Sharpie because it's the only way you're gonna be able to see what I'm doing. You're gonna need to see it with Sharpie. I'm gonna give Sammy his. All right, you ready to get started? All right, so we are gonna start right in the center. So like I said, you are gonna have your pencil, you're gonna have your eraser. If you feel like while you're doing the lesson, the owl in particular, if you feel like you need to erase a line, go ahead. So the pressure you should be using to draw should be a light pressure in case you do feel like you need to erase. Once we're done drawing our owl and segmented the sections outside of our owl, we're gonna put our pencil down, we're gonna trace our owl, and then we're gonna use only the Sharpie going forward, okay? So let's start with the nose. Pick up your pencil, start with the nose, and we're gonna draw a simple oval. Here's my large paper. I'm gonna look at the top of my paper and I'm gonna come down just a couple inches because I wanna have room enough to do my nose, and then my eyes are gonna be above my nose, the forehead area is gonna be above that, and the ears are gonna be above that. So I'm gonna make sure I come down far enough so that I can work my way up, but not go off the paper. So let's start with an oval nose. Awesome. Now we're going to do a circle for an eye. And we're going to come over on the other side and try to do that circle the same size so it's symmetrical. We're just doing our best. If you need to erase, you can go ahead and erase. All right, then I'm going to do a circle inside both of those circles. If at any point you feel like you need a little bit more time during the lesson, you can press pause, finish what you're doing, and then come back and press play. And come back to where I am. Now we're going to give him some eyelids. So you need to decide if you're going to do some really droopy eyelids like the owl's falling asleep. If you're going to do a wide-eyed owl, so the eyelid is open a little bit more. So here's my eyelid here, and here's my eyelid over here. How you doing, Sam? Good? Good. Awesome. Okay. All right, now we're going to put the eyeball inside. Both of them, and then we're going to color these in. This is the only part of the owl that I'm going to color in. You can just shade it lightly with your pencil because you're going to go over and color it in with your Sharpie after. So this is the only part of the owl that I'm going to be coloring in. This is the only part of the entire lesson that I'm going to be coloring in because we're going to be using lines instead, okay? All right, beautiful.
Oopsies.
That's okay. All right, now we're going to do, so these are the eyes, we're going to do the rest of the face. So I'm going to come up above the eye. I'm going to do a half circle on the right, a half circle on the left. And now I have the rest of the face of my owl. Now I'm going to do the ears. We're going to use a simple triangle on each side. Beautiful. Remember, erase if you need to, pause if you need to. Now I'm going to come down and do the body. I'm going to make it so that the body comes down, but I have enough room for the feet to add, and then I have enough room to add a little bit of scenery behind the owl as well. So I'm going to give him or her the belly, kind of like an oval. I'm going to do one of the wings. I'm going to come up here to where the belly and the face meet, and I'm just going to do a crescent shape for the wing over here. Another crescent shape for the wing on the opposite side. And now I'm going to give the owl some feet. Now remember, I don't want my feet going off the paper. I want to give it some room because I'm going to put a background. But I'm making my owl big enough so that it's very dominant in the paper, in the composition. I'm going to give the other foot. All right, Sammy's doing great. Now I'm going to add my lines in the background. I need to make sure that my segments are really big so that I have a good area in order to do my different line patterns. So I'm not going to be doing tiny, minute details. I'm going to be doing big details. All right, so I'm going to come over here and I'm going to perch my owl on a tree branch. You do whatever it is that you want to do for your background. I'm going to have mine sitting in a tree. So I'm going to have the tree's over here somewhere, and here's the branch coming out of the tree onto my paper, and now the owl's sitting on it, and it continues off my paper. And then I'm going to do the bottom part of my branch, below. All right, so here's the branch he's perched on. Okay. So remember, you don't want to do tiny little details because the details, that's not what the focus is for this lesson. So we're doing big, that's okay. We're doing big, the bigger picture, okay? All right. All right, now we're going to do, I'm going to add a branch over here to mine. And then I think I'll add another branch coming down over here. Running off my paper, so I'm making big areas for detail. Okay, so let's finish it up and come and move your lines out so that we can do the Sharpie. Beautiful. So is yours perched on a tree as well? Oh, I see. Yeah, Sammy has a branch coming out. Beautiful. Bring it all the way out. And then are you going to add a tree in here? I just want to show them what you're doing. It's different than what I'm doing, so I'm going to give you an example. And then leave this whole section here. Okay. Can I show them? Oh, okay. Well, Sammy's saying he wants it to be a surprise. Okay, so Sammy is done with his owl. He's done with where the owl is placed. And now we are going to do some, oh, he's adding another branch. Okay, now we're going to break up the background into segments. Okay, before we do that though, I'm gonna add a moon and I'm gonna add a star to give it an effect that it is at night. Okay, so Sam, you decide how you're gonna do it. In Sammy's warm-up, he also added clouds, so that's an option. So I'm gonna put a big crescent moon up here. If you choose to do a moon, you could do a crescent moon, you could do a half moon, you could do a full moon. And then over here, I'm gonna do a star. So my star, sometimes when you're doing a star, you could, you could start like a V and have it cross over, and cross going back up. And then you'd have all these lines crossing over it. I'm gonna do mine more using the shape of a triangle. So I'm gonna do the pointed part of the triangle going up, but I'm not gonna give it a base. And then I'm gonna do that again to the side of it. I'm gonna do it 5 times to make myself a 5-pointed star. But it goes around in a circle so that you don't have any lines that cross. You may do whatever you'd like, if you're even gonna add a star. All right, so I did my images big. I have my moon, my star, my owl, and my branch. The last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to break up the sky, and I'm going to break up below the tree branch into some smaller segments, but that are still large. So I'm just going to do a line going off here. And now I have 1, 2, 3, 4 segments under the branch. And then I'm going to break up my sky, my whole big sky. I'm going to do it in 3 segments. So I'm going to come up here to my owl's shoulder, and I'm going to just come up to the corner of my paper. Oops. And that's a segment. Now you're still working with pencil. We're about ready to switch to Sharpie. And then I'm going to come over to this side because I have a section here. I'm going to have a section up here. Now I want to break it up to have a section over here. So I'm going to go up to this shoulder, and it doesn't have to match this line. It can if you want. I'm not going to match it. I'm going to have it be a little bit of a steeper slope going up. So now I have a section here, a section above the owl, and a section on this side of the owl. All right. Sam, beautiful. So Sammy has some clouds. He has a crescent moon.
Some.
And he has broken his sheet up into segments. So cap your...
Can I trace this? Just, it says like C, that it is the separated segment.
Sure. Okay, so cap your Sharpie. And what I want you to do right now is I want you to trace over your pencil lines. Cap your Sharpie. I'm going to cap my Sharpie. Get your Sharpie out, uncap it, put the cap on the end so we don't lose it, and go ahead and start sharpening all of your lines.
Really?
Yeah. You're starting.
So I was just going to do this line that separates everything from the little segment things.
No, now it's time to start sharpening. And what I want you to do, so you have a segment here, right?
Can I just do it in there because there are a bunch of similar lines?
So this section right here is all going to be one type of a line segment. Okay? So go ahead and give me, like maybe do a section here.
No, I'm going to do create a segment, paint in it. Create a segment, or draw in it.
Okay.
And on.
Okay, so what we're going to want to do is have large areas. So you probably only need one more line, and then you'd have 1, 2, 3 areas. Besides all of what you have created for your scene. Okay, so everybody go ahead and start sharpening. Trace it over everything. If you need to pause the video, pause it. Finish your sharpening and come back and press play. So Sammy's going to get started. Here you go. Here's your Sharpie, sir.
Okay.
Okay. So before, you don't even have to do that with a pencil. You're going to do that just with a Sharpie.
Okay.
Sammy was starting to do some line patterns. So I was just going to tell him to go ahead and start doing it with a Sharpie. But before you do that line pattern, I'd like you to trace everything. Awesome. Okay, so Sammy's going to get started tracing. Like I said, press pause if you're not there yet. Press play once you're done with the whole Sharpie area. And then I'm going to go ahead and start with the lines. So here is Sammy's warm-up paper. And on the side over here, he has all of his lines that he practiced. Last video, I told you that if you were done with all these lines and you had more space to go ahead and fill it all in, hopefully you did that. And now it's time to choose one and choose a line segment. So I think Sammy is starting here with the random line. And last time he said that that line does not cross, but that the Sharpie has a mind of its own. So now that you're done doing the sharpening of the outline of everything, we're going to pick a segment and we're going to pick a line pattern, and we're going to get started. So Sammy and I are going to start with the random line that has a mind of its own.
If you haven't, just pause the video.
And if you haven't, pause the video, yeah. Okay, so I'm going to start with this section right here, this big section. I'm going to be sure not to go into my crescent moon or my owl or my branch. I'm just going to do this area right here. And I'm going to start. You can follow along with me. You can pick the same line patterns that I choose, or you can choose your own. And I'm just going to start going. My pen has a mind of its own.
More like the arm and the hand, if you really think of it.
What do you mean, honey?
the arm and the hands.
Oh, my arm and my hand has a mind of its own? I'm trying not to think. I'm just trying to go.
I was gonna say if you really think about it, but you don't want to think so.
Okay, so there is my random line segment here. I'm going to put you in closer. Sammy is still working on tracing his area. I'm going to keep going with the lesson. So that's one area. Now I'm going to pick another. I'm going to go on to my example. And I'm going to pick this hashing right here. And I'm going to do that right up at the top of my owl. So in order to do that hashing, I'm going to do parallel lines running together, slanted off to the side. You can do, if you're going to do this type of a line pattern, you can do them further apart the way I'm doing it, or you can make them closer together. If you make them closer together, it gives a darker texture to that area. I will do an example of that a little bit later. So I'm going all the way through this line segment. Notice I'm not going into my owl. I didn't go into my crescent moon. I'm not going to go into my star. I'm only doing the background. All right, so I did my line slanting in one direction. Now I'm going to flip it and do my line slanting in the opposite direction. They're going to be parallel lines as well, and they're going to cross the lines that I just did. So I'm hatching it here. I pick up my pin anytime I come close to another area. I came close to the ear, so I picked up my pin and I stopped. All the way across. You can be following along with me, or you can be doing your own. It's entirely up to you, whatever you're comfortable with. Remember, everyone's art is going to look different. Sammy's and mine look nothing alike. I love it, actually. But they look nothing alike. So, Sammy is still working on tracing his owl and his background. He is going to catch up with us. If you are at this stage right here, you just keep going. If you're not and you need a little bit more time, you can go ahead and press the pause button, come back and press play. All right, I'm going to pick another line, another type of line. All right, Sam, do you want to pick one for me, or should I pick one? What do you think?
You can pick one.
Want me to pick one? Okay. Over here in this area, behind the star, behind the branch, I'm going to do this line pattern right here. Okay? So I'm going to come up here. And right when I got to my star, I picked up my pen and I kept going. I'm going to do that again. I'm going to hit my star, pick up my pen, and keep going. You are doing this all with Sharpie. The only part we did with pencil was the owl and separating the background, creating the background. Okay. All the way across, pick up my pen. I got down to my branch. Now I had to pick up my pen again when I hit my branch. All right. All the way to the very bottom. I'm almost finished here. Last row of them. They are a little like curly cues. They look like a bunch of cursive E's connected. All right, it looks like Sammy is all done tracing, and he is gonna get on to his first line segment. So he decided he wants to do the wandering black line, and he has picked a segment, and he's going all over it. Beautiful. Very nicely done, Sam. All right, I'm gonna come down here. I think I'll do this branch right here. And I think, I'm gonna look at Sammy's. I think I'm gonna do this right here, overlapping circles. You can choose to follow along with me or do your own. I'm gonna do them nice and big. Hey, Zach. Thank you. I'm crossing my circles all the way around. Filling my whole branch area with overlapping circles. All right, I'm going to zoom you in so you can see my different sections. So started here with the wandering line, have the hatch pattern right there, have the cursive E's going right there, the overlapping circles. Sam, is yours still going to be a surprise till the end? Okay, Sam's going to wait till the end to share his with you. All right, the next area I'd like to do, I think I'm going to hop up here to the crescent moon, okay? So I'm just going to do moons within moons. So I'm just going to do a moon inside, another moon inside, and I think I'll leave it there. Now maybe another one. Okay, and then I'm going to come over here to my star. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do a star inside. Oh, that looks really good, Sam. Very nice. Okay, so now this is a whole nother section behind your owl, behind your clouds, behind your tree branch, and then this is another one behind it. So which one, what do you think you're going to do next? Here's my warm-up, here's your warm-up. What line pattern do you want to do behind? What do you think?
Soundwave.
Okay, sounds good.
No pun intended.
All right, I'm gonna keep going with my stars. Sammy's.
Mom, I said soundwave, and then you said sounds good.
Sounds good, yeah. So it's going. Sammy's doing a sound wave. All right, I did my stars within my stars, my moon within my moons, or my moons within my moon. And now I'm gonna come back down. I still have this section to do down here. So I'm going to come over here to this tree branch, and I want to show you a way to use hatch marks in order to make something look appear dark. So if I come over here, I'm going to do something similar to this right here, except for instead of slanting it, I'm going to go straight up and down. And see how I did mine spaced out here? If I want to create an area that looks darker, I'm going to make my lines closer together. So I'm going to do parallel lines really close together, vertical, running up and down the whole tree branch. Okay. I'm going to stay within my tree branch. I'm out here to the edge, so I'm going to pick up my pin so that I don't go into my sky background. I'm getting my lines really, really super close together. And then this tree branch is going to look darker compared to behind it. All right, they're really close together. And now I'm going to cross these lines. Come up here. My black Sharpie is getting a little dull. Okay, there we go. My lines are really close together. I'm not coloring in though. It looks darker. All right, that one took a little bit more time. But if you look here, it made this branch look darker. All right, I'm gonna keep going. Sam, do you wanna pick my next one, or should I just keep going? What should I do?
You should just keep going. I'm on my last one, so.
Okay, so Sam is doing his last area of the sky, and then he's gonna hit all the areas that he designed with different line patterns. He's doing circles right now. I think I'll do triangles. I'll do a pattern of triangle pointing up, triangle pointing down, triangle pointing up, and triangle pointing down all the way across. So I've done 2 rows right here. What's that?
Mom, is this for our class?
Yes. Yeah.
My class? Like my class?
All of 4th grade.
Oh.
Because this
then
is
if it's all of 4th grade,
yeah.
I have a prediction for the book we're reading, Holes.
Oh, well, can you hang on that?
That the curse is bad luck,
Sam.
but somehow they survive.
Okay.
That's my prediction.
All right. All right. All right, I did this area right here, and I have a tiny little area right here, and then I have a big area here. I'm going to, because this area is so tiny, I'm going to add this area and combine it with that one, okay, with the same line patterns, only because I feel like my area is pretty small. So, let me see. I'm going to do the branch first, and I'm going to pick a letter. I'm going to do some Z's. So I'm going to come back down here. I'm just going to do some Z's across, and they also look like lightning bolts. Going across. Beautiful, Sam. Way to go. Okay, and then the next one, like I said, I'm going to connect this area with this area. And for that, I think I will do this line pattern right here. Again, remember, you pick your own, or if you feel like following along with me, that's fine. If you need a break, press pause. If you are feeling a level of frustration, take a deep breath, count to 10, press pause, maybe run to your driveway, the end of your driveway and back, come back in, try it again. Okay, remember I told you I was going to add this one to that one? All right, I only have 2 sections left. Sammy, you're doing great. He's finishing up his background, and then he's almost done too.
I'm closer than you.
Yeah,
You
he
already
says
have
he's
one more
closer to me.
segment as I 99 more than 99 out of 100% done.
Okay, sounds good. All right, I'm gonna come over here and I'm gonna pick another
Done.
shape. Awesome. Okay, so
Wait, one less.
one last circle. Okay, so
2
Sam,
last.
I'm gonna give you a little bit of advice. Okay, so you can see these clouds, how they're kind of small. You might want to keep those just white. Oh, are you done?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right, so Sammy is finished. This is his end, the end of his creation. He's chosen to leave these clouds are small, so he's going to leave them white. How about this right here, Sam?
I'll leave it.
You're going to leave it white? Okay. And he's going to leave his owl white. So Sammy's done with his. You going to sign off? Or are you going to stick around?
I'm signing off.
Okay, so Sammy's taken off. So this is his finished artwork. And I'm going to finish off as well. I'm going to do these last two sections here, and then I'm going to talk about the owl. Okay? So, let me see something real quick. Alright, so I'm going to pick another shape. I'm going to do diamonds right here. So my diamonds are going to be all different sizes. Some are going to be big, some are going to be medium, some are going to be small. I'm just going to do a bunch of diamonds right here, all over. All right, and then here I am going to do just some, like, I think I'll do what Sammy did, which is sound waves. But remember, I'm hitting the owl's leg, or his foot, so I didn't go over it. Almost like backwards C's. All right, so I'm done designing the back behind my owl. Here is what is left. So for me, I'm gonna choose to leave my owl totally untouched because I want it to really pop. If you would like to do a little bit of design within your owl, I'd like it to stay just in the center of your owl so it's still the focal point of your composition. So if you're going to design your owl, I'd like you to leave the head, the ears, the wings, and the feet alone. And if you want to design the center piece, the stomach area, you can do a line pattern in here. If you decide not to and you want to keep it untouched, keep it untouched. That's where I'm going to leave off. Thank you guys for joining me and Sammy today. I hope you guys had a good time, and I can't wait to see your finished product. When you're done, I want you to flip it over, put your name on the back. I'd like you to bring this to the October material pickup so that you can drop it off. And it'll be this lesson and one more lesson for the month of September. You're going to bring those two pieces to the October material pickup with your names clearly written on the back. For my Maestra Mart's class, I'm going to be putting together the portfolios for the year. So if you do want a portfolio, you need to turn your art in. All right, thanks guys.